I want to preview the Baylor versus Texas Tech men's basketball game, which will be played on February 6th at 8 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. And granted, Texas Tech did lose twice last week, so I don't know if they're going to be ranked. And if they are ranked, how far will they drop? Or will they just be receiving votes? And obviously, Baylor should move up because 2 wins a week ago over UCF and number 12 Iowa State. And I'm going to hope that the officiating in this game is a lot better than the last game against Iowa State. And I sincerely hope Jeb Hartness, Chance Moore, and Christopher Merlot, those 3 officials, don't officiate this game right here. Or any more games that Baylor's involved in for the rest of the year. And of course, when the officiating's bad, when the athletic director calls them out. Okay, that's enough of that. And I'm going to say this. Also, Texas Tech did not have one player last game due to illness, but we'll have to wait and see on him. And I will put the outlook on Texas Tech men's basketball in the description below. And I'm doing this ahead of time, so I will put the ranking for Baylor for sure in the title, which is a matter of Texas Tech if they're going to be ranked. If they are, I'll put the number beside it. If nothing else, they might just be a receiving votes team. I don't know, because number 25 Iowa State. TCU they lost to, and they obviously lost to Cincinnati at home. And the one player that played last game, even though he doesn't play that much, is Demarion Williams, number 3, 6'3", 200-pound guard. That's a senior. 0.3 points per game, 0 for 1 on threes and no free throws attempted. And he's probably not going to play in this game. I'm just going to mention that up front. He played last game. So what are some other guys to keep an eye on? Obviously, the leading scorer is Pop Isaacs, number 2, 6'2", 170-pound guard. That's a sophomore. 17.6 points per game on 54 for 162 on threes, 84 for 102 on free throws, 3 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, 2.4 turns per game, 1.1 steals per game, 1.3 fouls per game. And there's Joe Toussaint, number 6, 6 foot, 190-pound guard. That's a senior. Yeah, he was at Iowa and West Virginia. 12.5 points per game, 22 for 71 on threes, 76 for 89 on free throws, 2.9 rebounds per game, 4.2 assists per game, 2.2 turns per game, 1.1 steals per game, 2.2 fouls per game. And honestly, I'm not going to mention any season-ending injury guys, so that's obvious. And then there's Warren Washington, number 22, 7 foot, 225-pound forward. That's a senior. 10.3 points per game, 34 for 58 on free throws, 7.6 rebounds per game, 1.4 turns per game, 0.9 steals per game, 1.6 blocks per game, and 2.3 fouls per game. And I apologize if I'm looking down. I just cannot memorize all these stats here. That's kind of why I'm looking at it. Then there's Chance McMillian, McMillian, something like that. I apologize if I butchered that name. Number 0, 6'3", 185-pound guard. That's a senior. 10.2 points per game, 44 for 101 on threes, 19 for 21 on free throws, 3.5 rebounds per game, 0.6 turns per game, 0.7 steals per game, 1.3 fouls per game. There's Darion Williams, number 5, 6 foot 6 inch, 210-pound guard. That's a sophomore. 8.9 points per game, 23 for 59 on threes, 40 for 46 on free throws, 6.9 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game, 1.6 turns per game, 1 steal per game, and 2 fouls per game. And there's Curran Walton, number 24, 6'5", 200-pound guard. That's a senior. 8.1 points per game, 36 for 69 on threes, 11 for 14 on free throws, 2.3 rebounds per game, and 1.4 fouls per game. And there's Robert Jennings, number 25, 6'7", 225-pound forward. That's a sophomore. 3 points per game, 8 for 12 on free throws, 2.2 rebounds per game, 1.6 turnovers per game, 1.1 fouls per game. And the guy that missed last game, but we'll see if he wait and see if he plays, is Lamar Washington, number 1. 6'4", 205-pound guard. That's a sophomore. 2.8 points per game, 4 for 15 on threes, 15 for 22 on free throws, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.3 fouls per game. And honestly, across the board, you gotta limit your foul trouble as much as possible, while getting them into foul trouble, especially the better players on the team. And I particularly would like to see Warren Washington get foul trouble. He's the biggest guy on the team. I'm just telling you the truth. Up front, I mean, in terms of height. I mean, of course, you got to make adjustments on the fly. I'm not talking about first half to second half either. I'm talking about possession to possession, timeout to timeout. You get the whole point. And you got to show a lot of toughness and grit, because Texas Tech is a team that's not going to go away easily. I'm telling you that right now. Point blank in the face. Because they were down against Kansas State early. But then they took the lead, and it was back and forth with them early on in the conference, and they won the game by 1 point. And it was in Lubbock. Mind you. I know. I'm just telling you the truth. I would dare to say you got to out-hustle Texas Tech 2, and you got to come out with energy. And granted, I do not know about the injury stats for some of the Baylor guys. I know that Jaden Nunn hurt his ankle, but the only reason why he played through it and it shot those free throws is because if he would have came out of the game, Iowa State would have put in somebody else to shoot free throws in his place. And he's missed, he hurt his ankle, but then he played still. So, I'm just telling the truth about this. Now, defensively, I would say contain the shooters, contain the slashers, and you need to make adjustments on the fly. Like I said, across the board, you got to make adjustments on the fly. As in, like, man-to-man to zone defense or zone defense to man-to-man. I would dare to say to make those non-shooters shoot long twos, not get so close to the rim. I mean, you don't want to let them live at the free throw line either. And I get that last game was a poor officiating. And that's kind of why they got all those free throws. Let's just be real up front about it, especially in the second half for Iowa State game. I know. But you don't want to let them live at the line for reals in this game. They will make free throws. They're one of the best teams in the Big 12 in terms of free throw percentage. I'm just telling you that up front. Obviously, you need to contain the point, limit the points in paint, limit the points out turnovers. Of course, fast break points, second chance points, as well. And I would dare to say, try to make those shooters not comfortable from at all and get their offense out of rhythm. Now, on offense, you got to take care of the ball a lot better than you did in an Iowa State game. That's obvious. But some of that, I will say, is because Iowa State was being so physical. And they got away with a lot. But still, you got to find a way to take care of the ball. You also need to have good shot selection in this game. As in, instead of good shot, get a better shot. Of course, you got get some assists. Of course, you want to limit the steals and the blocks as much as possible. Of course, on defense, I forgot to mention, get some steals, get some blocks. Obviously, draw charges would be good, but you can't rely on the officiating, of course, in this game. And you got to find ways to find enough ways to win the game without relying on the officiating. That's across the board, too. I would also dare to say you got to get some points in the paint. You got to get some fast break points. You got to get some second chance points, get some good looks from three and try to knock those down. And you got to make your free throws count when you get there. And get rebounds. And on defense, of course, you want to get the defensive rebounds too. And on free throws especially, do not allow an offensive rebound off of a free throw. I'm just telling you that up front here. And I would expect Texas Tech to play ticked off. After all, they lost at home. Because if they would have not lost at home, they would have been all by themselves in the first place in the conference right now. Texas Tech is 5-3 in the conference, 16-5 overall. Same thing goes for Baylor in this game. Right here. And it's against a former assistant for Scott Drew. Obviously, across the board, you don't want to have a technical foul or flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. That's another deal. And there, I mean, we had 6 technical fouls last game. I mean, on free throws, that is. But you get the whole point. And I would try to take advantage of some of the mismatches down there. You got screen well. Of course, you don't want to have like a moving screen and all this. And sometimes you don't need to move, like get your feet outside of your shoulder or move while it's occurring. Also, and not only that, you got to have the ball handler like make sure the screen is ready. And like I said, you got to make adjustments on the fly. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you can't play the officials to make every call in your favor. And I have criticized the officials from the last game, and I hope it's better this game. But in a game of basketball, you got to make enough plays to win the game. You got to just do that here, no matter what the refs. And that's kind of what happened in that last game against Iowa State. I mean, up 13 or 11 points, then you're trailing with a 20-0 run, and you still came back and won. And honestly, in late game situations on defense, do not allow a clean look and make them waste so much time that they don't get the shot off or even a clear shot or a straight line drive. And of course, on offense, try to get the best look as possible and take care of the ball and limit your turnovers while getting them in turnovers. Of course, having some steals and blocks will really help too. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. And hopefully Langston Love has a better game than last game. He only had 3 points. Right after he had 24 points against UCF, he was quiet. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. And Caleb Lohner needs to just do his role. He doesn't have to score to be effective. And same thing goes for Miro Little as well. I know he just plays in a pinch, but you get the whole point. And Josh Uzuuna, he needs to step up, especially if Missy is in foul trouble. Or even if he isn't, it's good to have a good backup big guy. I mean, and do his role. And even scoring would help. And rebounds. Caleb Lohner, same thing. So I would also say Jaden Dunn needs to step up, kind of like he did in that Iowa State game. He took over and he had essentially the game-winning shot with around 2 seconds left. And I wished he would have made more free throws. If we would have made more free throws, it would have been less stressful down the stretch. But you get the whole point. And having Ray J. Dennis step up would really be helpful. And Jalen Bridges and Yves Missy and Jacoby Walter as well. And I would dare to say get 40% or better in shooting the game would be nice. And of course, below 40%, like in the low 30s and even in the 20s, that would be good too. On defense and all this, and that's kind of what we did against Iowa State. They didn't shoot the ball good, 39.3%, and they didn't make 5 out of 14 threes. So you got to chase them off the 3-point line without giving them a lot of time in. And you got to be able to withstand runs when the ball's going against you. You can't get stops in a row. You got to find a way to climb back in the game and show your mental toughness. That's kind of what you did against that Iowa State game when Scott Drew got ejected from the game. So I'm just telling you, and I get Iowa State got to the free throw line 32 times last game, but they only made 19. That was the difference. And obviously getting a lot, some defense, out rebounding them in general is really important. I mean, getting some points, more points on turnovers than the team would be helpful, and fast break points as well. So you get the whole point, and all this. And balance is also the key. Of course, if there's an open look for you and it's your shot, take it. Unless, of course, if you're like Caleb Lohner, I would prefer him not to shoot threes. Even if it's wide open. Or even underneath the basket, unless he's wide open. But you get the whole point. If he's wide open underneath the basket and try to put it back in, do it. I mean, but if you're up, it's late in the game, try to take some time on the clock while trying to get the best shot possible while take care of the ball as well. That's kind of important. Yeah, I'm sure that Scott Drew and his staff have they're working on the free throws. I mean, 69.6% from the free throw line on 23 attempts. We were 11 for 11 in the first half, or at some point during the game, and then we only made 5 more free throws for the rest of the play. Yeah, hopefully that's improved. And all this. And we're going to wait and see what happened in terms of who is the officials officially. And hopefully it's not those 3 guys like I mentioned. I wouldn't think so. After all, Mac Rhodes got on them. I mean, that's the truth. And I don't know why that Iowa State coach, TJ Otzelberger, really said that was good officiating. I think he's just playing blind to the eye on that. Let's just be clear. It was questionable. I mean, enough about the officiating. Let's go out and protect home court. Because this is a potential opportunity to move up in the standings. Obviously, we're tied for first. Both teams are. This is how big this game is. You could very well get yourself set up for a good stretch. Not a stretch, but get a little break. I mean, a little lead in terms of conference standings by 1 more game. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. Truth in all this, and it's important, like, not just for a rankings perspective, but conference perspective as well. I mean, look, both of these teams, both of these teams are in the mix to finish first in the conference, and we'll have to wait and see, or top half of the league at least. And the loser of this game will have 4 conference losses, while the winner of this game will obviously have 3 conference losses. And that would be very important down the stretch. So, anyways, if you like this content, like and subscribe, and see you guys later on the road to 600 subscribers. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. So make money off this. Of course, like a video, comment video, really helps YouTube algorithm. So more people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well. So more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribe, hit subscribe button. It's free, the notification bell as well.